Finally, in the third story of DC Future State, Green Lantern, we finally catch back up with Hal Jordan on Earth in Coast City. Hal records a log on his ring and says he hasn't heard from any of the Green Lanterns for quite some time. It appears they have all gone missing. Simon, Kyle, Jessica, Guy, John, they're all gone. It is unclear at what point in time this is after the central battery has been deactivated, unlike the prior stories where they specify at what point in time it takes place in. With a new power ring amplifier-based ship built by the now missing Cyborg, Hal begins to worry what is happening in deep space to his friends. He plans to go and find out. I'm wondering if his ring did not go out like the other lanterns, simply because he created his ring from his own will. Yet again, another reference to some of the works that happened back in Rebirth. Upon leaving Earth, it definitely appears things are not quite right, considering some civilians are even in shock that heroes are alive at one point in time, as they see Green Lantern shoot off into the space in his new ship. Upon leaving the star system of Earth, he encounters two Sinestro Corps members, but fires energy blasts through his ship that easily knock out the two Yellow Lanterns. Seems space has only gotten worse with the return of the Sinestro Corps. However, Hal wasn't absolutely without hope. He was going to go look for Guy, who had a history of dealing and working with the Red Lanterns. Hal went all the way to Yzmalt, the home of the Red Lanterns. But instead of finding either, Hal found the Kundian army worshipping their god in red. Hal says he barely made it out against them. What's next is even worse to Hal as he sees the return of Warworld. There are what looks like yellow construct barriers around Warworld, but as Hal escapes, it's never confirmed who rules Warworld before he had to leave to find the Green Lantern Corps. Hal ran into a number of his old villains, including a group of manhunters, a robot space squid, and even Larfleeze on his travels to find the Green Lantern Corps. This begins to wear on Hal Jordan. In his last engagement against the blue-shipped Empire, Hal took massive damage to his ship, but he knew he was close to safety. He wasn't far from Oa, the center of the universe, where the Green Lantern Corps has their base of operations. Upon reaching Oa, he reaches out to anybody who would listen to him on his comms. His ship was Swiss cheese from the last battle he was in, and it was falling apart. Hal was crashing onto Oa, but no one was responding. Where are the Green Lanterns? Hal finally makes it inside Oa's atmosphere. He begins to see the unfortunate truth he's been denying this entire time. Everything was gone. The central battery destroyed. The Guardian's chamber gone. The Guardians gone. The Green Lanterns gone. The only thing that was left was nothing but dust and ashes. Finally realizing the situation that had befallen him, he gets out of his crashed vehicle in a panic. But as he gets out, he hears a voice from behind him. It was someone recognizing him as Hal Jordan. It was the young Green Lantern named Joe Moline, who in the prior story, Kelly was supposed to go and visit on the far side of the universe. Joe Moline grabs him and immediately attacks him, saying he wasn't there when the Green Lantern Corps needed him most. And our story trails off there, with the tragedy of all of Oa. This series was rather interesting to me. We're returning to a sense of normality back in terms of like DC Rebirth, and we're seeing a lot of the more notorious, in my opinion, better storylines draw themselves back. We're seeing a much bigger influence from like other Lantern Corps. We're seeing, you know, old classic enemies return. Of course, the whole Green Lantern Corps is blown up. Like I really like where this is going. Hopefully, we make it back to the more solid writing of Rebirth, and the artwork is definitely the top tier, back to where we had it. Unlike a lot of the other, so from my understanding, the DC Future State is actually a weird time of being, simply because, like, apparently it's not canon. It's a potential future to what's happening, but that isn't the case for all stories. And the last panel specifically within this story says that this general storyline will continue inside the Green Lantern series that comes out on the next major story arc, I guess, for like all of DC. or status quo, I guess, being Infinite Frontier. So if they continue on this track, I'm going to be very happy as a Green Lantern fan in terms of where they're going with this story. Keep things tough, keep things brutal. Maybe not as edgy as we had in John's story, but I liked where this was going with Hal Jordan. That being said, next time. Later.